and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Gee, I don't know if you heard me. I don't know if you heard any of that. I apologize. But we've got a petition. It's happening. It'll be coming in really soon. The new petition that repeals the new tax that's coming on. And hold on one second. I'm having a little bit of trouble. She's trying to get on, and we're working on that. I don't know why it's such a trouble. It's you just click on, you can go in your phone, you can go in your laptop, and sometimes I don't know if it's me if I don't explain how you get into the show or not, but it's just pretty much ran like Zoom, but she'll figure it out. It's not a problem. We'll get her in here. And so the petitions that are happening are very important because they help you get rid of a lot of the taxes. It will help us get rid of a tax that they just passed in the legislature. And the headquarters is open right now. You can go. It's going to be there from 2 till 6 p.m. And it's going to be open from Monday through Wednesday, 2 to 6 p.m. It's at the Newmark Plaza at 3229 Broadway, Suite F. And it's in North Bend, Oregon. It's under the Century 21 sign. Right under the Century 21 sign across from the McDonald's. So we're right in there at the Newmark Plaza, Broadway, Newmark, 3229. So come check us out. Tonight, we've got people there till 6 o'clock. Tomorrow and the next day, Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be there. And I've got Dr. Kahl on. I'm going to bring her on right now. Joining me is Dr. Barbara Kahl. Dr. Kahl, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Dr. Kahl. Like phone
Dr.
call.
Kahl, I apologized.
That's all right.
It's always 50-50 with stuff like that.
That's right.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing well. And I thought it was interesting that you're running for Oregon District 1 because living way down south, sometimes I don't pay attention to what goes on up north. And I didn't realize that District 1 is on the coast and is all the way at the very end of the state. I didn't realize that. That's kind of cool. And it makes sense because it is District 1.
Yeah, so it actually runs from western Portland. So if you're at Skyline Boulevard, if you're in Portland, goes all the way across through Cedar Hills, Cedar Mill, Washington, parts of Washington County, the majority of it, through Clatsop County, Tillamook County, Columbia County, from Astoria to Cape Mears on the coast.
That's a huge territory.
It
That's a lot
is.
of stuff. Yeah. Well, once you get out of the cities, it starts to, the counties get much, much larger. So,
Yes, yes, they do. It's a really dynamic district. So we've got everything from high tech to dairies and multiple different small businesses. So it's really, really a great district to represent.
it's any district that we can get someone who's an actual Republican in there against, because you will be facing a Democrat. I know you have a Republican challenger in the primary.
Mhm.
We don't know him, and I really don't want to talk about really too much of your opponent, because I think
Certainly.
it'd benefit to really find out about you. Tell us why you're running, what makes you qualified, and what do you think you can do for Oregon that how do I pronounce it? Bonamici? Is that how it's pronounced?
Bonamici.
Bonamici.
Yeah.
Bonamici. Okay. So what do you think you can do that she hasn't done for us or to us yet, maybe I should say?
Well, I think our backgrounds are very different. She is from Detroit, Michigan. She didn't come here until she went to college as an attorney, and she's been an attorney since then, so the entire time. Me, I am born and raised here, born in Portland, raised in Hillsborough. I've been here my entire life, and I have worked my entire life. Started with a paper route when I was 9 years old. I spent my career solving real problems for real people in mobile veterinary care across Washington County and beyond. And I've also been in international public health. I've worked in American Samoa, where I helped build animal care legislation for them from scratch. I've been in corporate America at Intel, supporting finance and purchasing and contracts. I understand budgets, accountability, and what it means to be responsible for outcomes. I also see what's going in Congress with these career politicians. And that is something that is really upsetting for me. They've drifted from their constituents' ideas. They have no idea, especially the one who I'm going against, what the needs are in this district. She's totally disunited from anybody that's here. And she's been doing this for 14 years. And in that time, mind you, she is on the education committee for the U.S. House. And you can see how that's worked for Oregon. We are the bottom. We're at the 45th and 48th. Now, if you add in demographics, I'm going to tell you how that works. Demographics are supposed to, when you put it into the education standards, raise up and make the state look better. For Oregon, we blended these demographics, which is looking at ethnicity and poverty issues and ESL issues, English as a second language. It actually dropped Oregon to 50th in the nation when we add the demographics. And so that's really irritating. Our ports are losing ground to Puget Sound because there's no maintenance going on, or not enough maintenance with our terminals in Portland. The Port of Garibaldi is losing out on infrastructure there that she has not helped them to maintain. So they've had to close down about 50% of the normal fisheries that used to be there along the coast. They're losing a lot for their families. We have forests that are burning instead of being harvested. That's something that I'm really big on. I live really close to a lot of loggers. And the new BLM issue that's coming up with Oregon and California, I think that's going to be a win for us. We can get into that later if you wanted to.
Yes.
And our veterans. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I said yes. I was agreeing with you. I definitely want to talk about BLM because we are one of the ONC counties. I'm not sure if your county up north is an ONC county, but we are definitely in that category.
Yeah, Tillamook is in there as well. They're one of the 18. They have 17 or 18 that are selected, and yes, we are in there. And then, of course, we have veterans that can't access care. In fact, just recently, I went to a few meetings, and the first thing that came up was veterans who have mental issues, and they're brushed off. In fact, one of them actually reached out directly to Ron Wyden and to Bonamici, and they pretty much shrugged their shoulders and said, we don't know what to do. You're on your own.
Well, that's sad because we have so many of our veterans who are living on the street now, and they can't find housing, they can't find support, they become drug addicted. Many of them were started out that way. Yeah, it's not good for a lot of veterans out there.
Yeah, I agree. And so with me, part of my family history is my dad was an Army veteran, retired 30 plus years. He literally was told that he could not have his retirement ID. He had to drive to Fort Lewis McChord, 200 miles away, to go get it. And then once he did that, he applied for his benefits, but because they lost the records, back way back in the 50s when the building burned, they said that he wasn't actually retired because he didn't have enough hours. Well, then we had to go through all this nonsense. Anyway, long story short, the government shorted him 14 years of retirement pay because it took him too long to get that pay because he was trying. Yeah. And that's what's happening to our veterans. Now, my husband was in the military. My daughter's in the military. My brother-in-law's in the military. My nephew, my niece are in the military. I personally was a Navy Ombudsman. I've worked with the admirals coming back down and bringing information to families on a two-way street. I'm very accustomed to working in that environment. And for me, having all of this influence that's going on in a bad way from Bonamici, ignoring our veterans, is something that I take personally to heart. That is not okay. And I tend to I will be standing for those men and women who've given their lives to our country. And so that is the difference between Suzanne Bonamici and myself. I've worked it. I've been there. I've lived it. I live in the area. I've lived here my entire life. I'm impacted by every decision that she has made. And for me, I can do a whole lot better than what she's done for us.
I think all of us could do a lot better. I wish there were more Republicans that we could name out who serve in the Congress and in the Senate. And it's sad we don't have any Republican senators, haven't had any in many decades. And it's time we get a little bit of a change in here. One of the things I do want to talk about, veterans. My father was a veteran, like your family. We have a lot of veterans. Everyone here in Coos County, I can guarantee you the families are attached to some veteran who served at some point in time. We're just that way out here in rural Oregon. And one of the things that I supported the president on is the no more foreign wars. And it's weird because under Biden, we got the Ukraine. The Democrats love the Ukraine, and now we see the president and what's going on in Iran. And of course, they're protesting what's happening in Iran. But my question to you, do you think Congress has acquiesced too much authority to the president as far as war powers? And what is your opinion on either taking away some of the president's authority or having the Congress step up to say that they want to approve this? Where are you at with that? Because that is something you would have to do as a congresswoman.
Yeah. So let me go back a few years in history. So my husband sat in the Strait of Hormuz the first time that it was tried to be taken over and demine the Gulf in there. And I do believe that it is necessary for us to go in there. I do believe that we need to be minimal on the troops that we put in there, because from the time he was there, and I actually worked with the captain of the ship during that time, and I have a lot more information that I can't tell you, but we need to be in there, and we need to eliminate the threat. We can do it with more advanced technology that we didn't have back then. And I think once we do that and get things under control, that's going to be a benefit for America. We do not need Iran having nuclear weapons at all. And that's a big concern because they are a threat with that. And so for me, as a congressperson, yes, I think that President Trump was correct in what he did. I like the way that Secretary Pete Hegseth is managing things. I do understand that Pete, being a military member himself and understanding what loss of life means wholeheartedly, and myself as well, being impacted by that we need to take really good care of any troops and have forethought of those troops going in there to understand our mission and keep it as minimal as possible with maximum effect.
And with Hegseth in there, and I'm a big fan of Hegseth, and I had no confidence when Biden got in there and the people. It was Milley, I think it was General Milley he put in there. I forget the other two.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was a horrible. Even the optics on it, these people were horrible. I remember the one. I think it was Milley, the one talking. He was still trying to find out what white anger was all about, and it was silly. They were more worried about ESG and DEI and the woke agenda than they were about geopolitics and how our enemies were gaining ground against us. So let me ask you this, because it sounds like then you don't think that you want to pull back any more on his authority to go and have these actions. And it is, I believe, the AUMF, the Authorization of Military Force, that does that. So you think he's perfectly fine in doing this, and it would be wrong right now, in your opinion, for Congress to take away any of his authority to continue this? Because many of us, we didn't vote for it, but if we got to do it, I'm perfectly happy to have Donald J. Trump in charge and at the helm doing this, and Pete Hegseth in the Department of War doing this, than what we've had in the last 4 administrations. Just my personal opinion, but I just want to get that straight with you. What
Yes.
you think you're good with that?
I agree with that. And the reason being is that we have 2 master strategists who play chess, managing the outcome of where we are at today. And I think that given the situation and the knowledge that both of these gentlemen have, that we are in the best place we possibly can be. My concern, if Congress took over, is that I do not know at this point how many of those congressional members actually have military background in the Strait of Hormuz, with Persian Gulf issues, that would be making decisions. There are a lot of people in there that have never seen that, have never felt the impact of it, who've never been there before, and they're trying to tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing, when the people who are managing that war both understand the full dynamics and the operations that we as public citizens know nothing of. And so, yes, I'm for it. I think what Donald Trump is doing is right on track. I think that Pete Hegseth is also right on track for keeping America in the best position it possibly can and keeping our people safe here.
Great. I'm liking what I hear, and I agree with you on that. And I think there's a lot of people out there in Oregon on both sides of the aisle who probably feel the same way, because I've gone back 40 years and we were talking about the Straits of Hormuz back then. You know what I mean? You know, we were talking about it back then, and it was the same thing. They could sink ships and they could mine it, and it would take years to clear it out and get that oil coming through. And yeah, it's very serious. Now, to that fact, Oregon has some of the highest gas prices per one of the states out here. I mean, on the West, it's just horrible. California is bad. We've got high taxes. The governor, I guess, is not going to cut our state taxes. She's going to keep pounding that with us, pounding us with it. And so we only have one gas line coming into Oregon, one, that brings fuel into Oregon. And if something happens to it, gas prices are going to just go through the roof. And on the coast, it's even worse down here in the southern part of the state because we really don't have a lot of access to us. It takes a long time to get out here. The prices are really high. Is there anything you can do in Congress? And I would say even under national security issues, would you do something to help Oregon with its gas and gas supply and securing that supply?
I have looked into that, and it would be nice to get a refinery here on the coast. I think it would benefit our coastal communities because they need income generation. I'd have to look into that honestly further. That hasn't been something that's been upfront in what I've been researching recently. So to say yes or no, I could do this or could do that, I don't want to mislead anybody out there. I would need to do more research, data dive into it, see what's best for the people of Oregon, reach out to Oregonians, find out what they want first before I would say this is what we're going to do. Because as a representative, that is my key job, is to represent the people of Oregon, not to represent, say, big oil or Congress or someone else's needs out there. It's to represent the people of Oregon, what they want, and how that's going to come to fruition to help them in our economy.
I don't know what it's like up in Tillamook, but here in Curry County and Coos County in Southern Oregon, Douglas too, they did put a question on the ballot, but we put advisory questions on the ballot asking whether the county wanted to support the wind turbine projects, the offshore, let me clarify, there was offshore wind turbine projects that, in my opinion, was going to destroy the fishing industry in Southern Oregon. And we voted 2 counties, one of them 80%, here in Coos County was 60% against the wind turbines. And luckily, the president stopped the leasing of the leasing areas. Are you for or against that? And what would you do about these types of green energy, solar and wind, that gets a lot of this government subsidies?
Wow, yeah, wind turbines. They have a plan to put them in the Tillamook Bay, which would completely destroy fishing. If they put them further out in the coast area, it would completely destroy fishing. It would destroy whale migration. It would impact salmon because the vibration and the bisphenols in the water would destroy the salmon runs coming up through the Columbia. So I am against wind turbines in any situation like that. Now, on land, I'm still against them. And the reason being is, one, they are destructive to the environment. They release bisphenols, which is a toxic kind of plastic fiber that gets into the ground. It can never be recuperated out of the ground. It eventually kills off plants and foliage and wildlife. So I don't think that wind turbines are a good deal for anybody. It was great for temporary. Somebody probably made some really good money on it somewhere, but it is not a forward-looking energy source. Solar panels that you mentioned, I think we could use solar. However, I don't think that taking our open space land for it, or our grazing land, or our high deserts are the best thing for that. I would like to see, if we are going to do solar, that it be mandated into the roofs of new corporate buildings that are being built, of parking structures that are already existent, and keep it above ground where maintenance would be easier. It'd be closer to already developed areas, or put them on brownfield space that can't be used for anything else. But to plan and plot and say, oh, we're going to take this, 1,000,000 acres and we're going to make a 1,000,000-acre solar field out of it. No, that's just not one that does not benefit Oregonians at all. It causes problems. They can't be maintained in that amount of area. We get snow where they intended on putting a lot of these that are going to cover them up for half the year. So yeah, I would rather have them. If we're going to do it, we need to be thinking forward environmentally and respectfully, all of the people here in Oregon and what their desires are.
And the gas line, the only single gas line coming into Oregon. Is there anything you think Congress can do about that?
I mean, we could look at, bringing in something secondary. We could look at better storage facilities along the way. The other side of that, though, is looking at leakage and how they've managed the gas lines before to make sure that we don't have issues there. Before we decide, hey, we're going to put in more, let's make sure that what we have is not a problem to begin with.
And what do you think of nuclear?
I like the idea of nuclear. I've lived in Oregon my entire life. I realize that we've had the Trojan nuclear power plant up there. I realized that there was issues with it for a while, but mind you, that was 40 years ago?
Yeah,
50 years ago?
Longer.
Yeah, if not longer. There have been multiple increases in nuclear technology and microsizing down those nuclear power plants that we can use, and it gives much more energy. My other area that I would really love to see that we continue with is hydropower.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that we really lost a totally renewable energy source. And like you said, the solar thing, I never understood. Let's take a beautiful field where we grow food and cover it with these black, ugly, solar panels, when it's like there's endless amount of government buildings that we could attach them to. The thinking on this is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, they're not thinking forward at all. They're thinking for the moment, what's going to be easiest to put it in, the cheapest to put it in, when in fact it's actually going to be the most expensive, because the damage is going to happen not only to our grazing areas, but to the tourism and everything else that comes with it. I mean, they're going to lose that economy.
And most of it's subsidized. It's subsidized by taxpayers.
Yes.
That's another thing. I think that there's a lot of grift going on in these green energies, where we're giving a lot of subsidies, government grants, and it's almost like what's happening in Minnesota, Minneapolis, where you have the Somalian the Leering centers. You have it in California in the Medicaid, here in Oregon in the Medicaid. You've got a lot of fraud out there. Is that something that you would be interested in looking into? Do you think that maybe we should start that Doge and get it going again on a lot of different programs?
Well, I have a finance background.
Great.
And 20 years worth of that. I had to audit year-end reports at Intel. I did it for Lamb Weston when I was working there. So I had to balance my reports to $500. So yes, we need to look into fraud a lot. We need to not just do what they say performance audits, where you hear that thrown out a lot. I'm going to do a performance audit here or a performance audit there. What that says is, we gave you $1 million. Okay, and you gave it to this NGO, this NGO, this NGO. Okay, and now you're down at nothing. Great, you did what you were supposed to do with the money. But there's no accountability to those NGOs of where they spent the money, which is where all this fraud is coming in. What I would like to see, and it's different, so performance audits make a huge assumption that whomever they're giving the money to is honest and they have integrity to spend the money wisely. A forensic audit does not do that. A forensic audit assumes that the person is doing illegal activity or has some sort of tie that they shouldn't be using the money on. And then you go in and you look at the book starting at a zero base, and you go up from there and go, this is where you received your money at. Where did you spend the money to buy that paperclip? Where did you spend the money to pay for that health care? Where did you get the money from, and who is managing this money? And then we go to, well, it went to this NGO. Great. NGO, I need your books. Let's go take a look and see where that money went. That's what needs to happen in this state and at the federal level, to say, we are going to be responsible with your money, taxpayers, because we as taxpayers, we do that at home. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, the electric company just charged me $680.29, and last month it was $500. Okay, electric company, where did my money go? What is going on with my bill? That's kind of like a forensic audit. They want the same caliber of investigation done in the government that we do for ourselves at home.
It's like counting the cash register and having the cash register balance. However, half the money you counted was counterfeit bills if they're not real bills. So that's kind of the difference between the two. One's just auditing, and one's auditing for the accuracy and right, correct?
Exactly. Yes. One's
Yeah.
making sure that the money is being spent where it said it was being spent. And no matter who is in that line of recipients of that money, they all are getting audited to ensure that that money is being utilized appropriately.
Absolutely. How long do I have you here for? I didn't even ask.
As long as you need me.
Okay, because I do have a couple of more questions.
Great.
Because you talked about the forest lands. This is something I'm sure is going to affect Tillamook. We now have the U.S. government wanting to uphold the 1937 ONC Act, where we
Yes.
now get 70%, not 50%, 70%, and they're telling us they're actually going to go and cut down some trees, the way I understand it. What do you think of this? And is there anything else you think you can do to help since you're in one of the ONC counties?
Mhm. I think this is wonderful. It's about time, because what has been going on since we were prevented from doing forestry, everybody sees it as, okay, they're seeing the forest and the trees, right? That's a silly thing to say. What they didn't see when they cut back forestry is the millions of dollars lost to pay for public safety, fire departments,
Yep.
schools. 128 million was lost with this nonsense. We lost 1 billion board feet of lumber, was cut down to 250 million board feet, and
Yep.
even less than that. And so all of those loggers and their families and their school districts and their police departments and fire departments that relied on those funds was immediately nearly bankrupt. In fact,
Yep.
some of them did go bankrupt. We have lost over 50% of our mills in this state because of environmental specialty groups who caught the ear of our legislators.
Yes.
So this is something that's going to benefit everybody. If we can get back up to that 1 billion board feet of lumber and get our economies back, we're going to see a rejuvenation not only of managing the forest fire risk, it will cut down our insurance premiums on homes. The home builders will be able to build homes for less expensive dollar amounts. We're going to see our schools promoted again. And the forest fire risk, again, it's going to be minimized, which is wonderful. We don't want to burn our forests. We want to see our forests thrive. And I will tell you, I did speak to some loggers recently. They don't have the equipment or the saws or want to ruin their saws to try to cut down old growth trees. Mind you, those babies are like 5 feet across.
Yep.
That's not the target. The target is the trees that they have planted with sustainable growth that they can replant and reharvest all the time to keep that board feet coming. They don't want to see the old growth forest harmed. They want to leave them the way they are. For the environmental groups, they need to understand that this is not going to damage old growth.
Yep. And that was definitely something that I don't know why they don't understand. Loggers can cut trees. They can cut trees in any pattern that you want them to cut trees in. They go in and they're assigned. This is not hard. This is not rocket science. And these guys are really good at what they do. I know a lot of the loggers out here. And like you said, a lot of them lost the jobs. And it just wasn't the government districts, the schools, the police, the loggers, coffee shops, the restaurants, the hotels, everything down the line in these little towns, we've lost a lot of that. Complete towns have just dried up and gone away.
Yeah.
And what it means for a county like Coos County is if we get that amount of board, that amount of board footage cut, and we get the 70% cut out of that, that could be up anywhere to $21 million in a county that lives on, I believe, $65 million in property taxes. That is huge. It's a game changer for us.
Yes. It needs to, bring the economy back alive. I mean, all along Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon, I mean, that's a pillar to Oregon. Oregon has always been known as the forestry state, always, ever since I was young. I mean, even they realized that it was the forestry state, even way back in the Tillamook Burn when Smokey Bear was initiated.
Yep.
They realized then, hey, we need to manage our forests better. We need our foresters to do the management because our foresters, their livelihoods depend on a healthy forest. And that is what people need to understand. We need to let the foresters get in there and do their job the way that they know best.
Absolutely. And like I said, these guys are really good at what they do. I do kind of have one last question for you before I get
Sure.
you out of here.
Okay.
And it's a local question because I thought since your experience in your career is veterinarian.
Yes.
Okay. We've got IP-28 that's going to stop us from ranching, from hunting, from even butchering animals for meals. It's horrible what this is going to do to us. As someone who's working with animals, what do you think of this? And what do you think of the people who are trying to trick people into thinking this is it's a cruelty to animal package that they're selling it as?
So a little bit of my background there. I was Oregon's 2012 Animal Welfare Award winner through the Oregon Veterinary Medical Association. I also have the United SPCA, which is the Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And I have been a veterinarian for 20 years. They're calling it the Peace Act, is as far from animal welfare as you can get. It is not an Animal Welfare Act at all. It is an animal activist PETA Act. PETA is People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, is one of the sponsors, and they are funded by foreign corporations to push this act forward. This is not coming from Oregonians. There might be one or two, but this is coming from external sources that want to push the agenda of no animals for anything. But let me tell you what this act would do. More than just no hunting, no fishing, nothing. If this happens, they are hoping that Oregon is temperate enough that they would approve this so they can expand it across the United States. It should never be passed because animals provide for your gel caps, your roads, the gel in your cell phones, your computers. Animals provide for your makeup, your body parts for heart valve defects. Animals provide for so much more than what these people even can fathom, and they are not bringing that up at all. They are saying, oh, this is because, animals are mistreated in this way or that way. And it's the shock effect when people first read that going, oh my heavens, we need this. We don't. Oregon has the strongest animal cruelty laws in the nation. And that I know. I've been around the country. I worked down in Texas for a while at the Houston SPCA. Our laws are stronger than Texas when it comes to animal welfare. I worked with the Animal Legal Defense Fund early on in Oregon to ensure that happened. And so the Peace Act is not an Animal Welfare Act. It is an animal activist act that will be extremely detrimental, not only to our economy, but it will have the ripple effect that will affect fishing, hunting, medical fields, everything. It is not good. Vote no.
Vote no. I completely agree with you. And I was just curious. I kind of knew that's what you would say, just looking at your record and how you've answered those questions on your website and stuff. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it so much. Before I get you out of here, is there anything you would like to tell the listeners?
Listeners, just so you know, for Congressional District 1 or anywhere in the state, I will be a representative that actually takes your voice to Congress. I will not be top down. This is what you're going to do. I will be, hey, tell me what I need to be doing, and this is what I will do for you. That's the way I intend to work in Congress, and that's the way it should be.
Oh,
So vote
that's
for
great.
me. If you could help me out with donations, campaigns are really expensive. My competitor has lots. If you would, that would be wonderful. You can go to my website at www.drcallforcongress.com. There's a donate button there. I would really appreciate the support because Oregon, we need to win together. We need to team up and get our state back on track.
Yeah, we definitely need to get our state back on track. And it sure would getting rid of Bonamici would be a great way to start that.
Yes, it would.
All right. Well,
Thank
thank you
you
very
so
much.
much.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next time and good luck in the primary. Okay.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye
No
now.
problem. Take care. Bye-bye. And that was Dr. Barbara Kahl. I hope the best of luck for her. She's not anywhere near that we're going to be able to vote for her, but there are people up north who actually catch the podcast and she'll be sharing this around. And it's good for them to get out and talk with people because even if she doesn't even represent us, she still is representing the state of Oregon. So it's good to know that these people are out here and it's good to know who they are. And I'm sure you could be able to contact her at any point in time because that's just the type of person she is. So if she gets into office, I don't know about you, I think it would be much better than Bonamici. Bonamici just hasn't been, doing what most rural Oregonians have been wanting us to do. And it seems like Dr. Barbara Kahl understands the plight of rural Oregon and how, she's on the west side of Portland. So I imagine that she gets that whole thing of how the city dwellers just seem to think that those of us out here in Southern Oregon are just here for their pleasure. We are their vacation spot. And in many ways, it's true. We have, the tourism is a huge thing out here. And, the summer's coming up, spring is coming up, and we're going to have a lot of people coming out here. We call it RV hell for a while because it starts out with the RVs coming down 101 and you'll be stuck behind them. And of course, Bandon is a little tourist, just a haven for tourists. And downtown Bandon, good luck getting into downtown Bandon. If you're here in June and July, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just packed with RVs and boats and tourists and people walking around. And so I could walk. It'd probably take me 2-3 minutes to get to downtown Bandon from where I'm at. And I don't usually go down there during the summertime because it's just so crazy. And that's how we live in Oregon. So I don't think that people in Portland realize that we are a seasonal town. And when the good weather goes, so does all those tourists. And it's those of us diehards who are out here, the loggers, the fishermen, the people who have businesses feeding all of those people, keeping those resorts and those restaurants going. All of us, we play a huge part in that. And I don't think they appreciate that in these big cities. And so I don't think Bonamici understands that. So I was really glad to have Dr. Kahl on here. I'm going to hopefully get Chris Castleman on because I've got a credible story about this meeting we had this past Friday. We finally got all the PCPs that have been wanting to be PCPs. That's a precinct committee person for the Republican Party, for the Coos County Republican Party. It's been a year and 6 months. We've been trying to get, I don't know how many people as precinct committee persons into that party. And yet it took a recall. It took a court case. It took a court order and finally a meeting before I actually became a precinct committee person. And now I'm a precinct committee person, and I've got voting authority in the Coos County Republican Party, and that's pretty good. That's good enough for me. I'm not looking to be on the executive board. I'm not looking to be the treasurer or anything of the party. I just wanted to have my right to vote in the party because, I used to do that for many, many years. Back in the day when I first moved here, I was part of the Libertarian Party, and then I moved over to the Republican Party, and it just didn't seem to be going anywhere. That's why I became an activist and started getting more involved in issues and taking on issues straight on instead of working with the party, because the party just wasn't doing anything. It was really sad. I don't know why they don't want to grow. I don't know why they don't want to take on these issues and fight for what's right in this county, but they didn't. And so I left the Republican Party, which was neat because I then started a radio show. I was on the radio for many, many years. And then once I was canceled off the radio show, I got this podcast, and I wanted to get back into the party so that we can change the direction and actually have a formidable political machine that could get people elected. Wouldn't that be cool to have a political machine that we could actually use to get people elected to office? And I think that would be a great thing. I think that's something that a lot of Republicans miss here in Coos County. And hopefully when Chris gets on here, we'll be able to talk more about that. But before I go any further, I want to remind you, we have some petitions. I don't have the repeal the new tax that they just passed. I don't have that petition yet. That's going to be here in the next couple of days. But I do have 6 other petitions that are out at the headquarters. I believe it's either Elmer or Carol who are out at the Republican headquarters in the Newmark Plaza. That's 3229 Broadway. That's Broadway and Newmark, Suite F for Fockers, right underneath the Century 21 sign. And you can sign those petitions. We need to get those petitions. The vote before tolls, I got to get those out to the chief petitioner real soon, very soon. The end vote by mail, we only got a month or so on that. We need to get those signatures. If you want to help us, achieve this, you got to come out and you got to sign them. We have the end the death tax. We have the let us paddle. We have the repeal measure 114. And we have the stop the catch and release policy of the state. All of those petitions, there's 6 of them. I know I only have 4 listed right there. There are 6 of them, and you can catch them all at the headquarters right now until 6 o'clock. And I'll be there Tuesday and Wednesday from 2 to 6, and we're going to expand those hours. I know Marty is coming back. I know a few other people are coming back. They're snowbirds, so they leave for the winter, but they're coming back now, and we'll be seeing them at the headquarters. You can also sign the petition every Friday from 4 to 6. Let's see. Oh, it looks like Chris is trying to get in, but his audio is messed up. I hate when my audio is messed up. So we'll give him a second to get that straightened out. He'll get on here. But to continue, Uncle Randy's, great place in Coquille, great place to eat. They got great biscuits and sausage. You like biscuits and sausage? They also have some really good chicken fried steak. All of that can be had at Uncle Randy's, and you can sign the petition if you're there this Friday or any Friday from 4 to 6. Once again, they have I believe they all have all 6 petitions out there, and you can sign them all 4 to 6 every Friday at Uncle Randy's, and that's on the inside. Just go on in. She'll be sitting at one of the tables, and you can catch her there. So that's just some of the things that is going on at the headquarters, the Fokker headquarters. Remember, it's Suite F for Fockers. And joining me right now is Chris Castleman. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right. The sound check was not working. Like, it didn't play any music, but I can clearly hear you fine. So I don't know. Sorry about that.
That's all right. How do you get the sound? Because I see you have the earbuds. You got the earbuds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
like before you click like enter studio, you can do a sound check. And I always do that. And I think there's a bug because I was playing the sound and there's nothing, but I can hear you. So
Well, that's good. That's a good thing.
yeah.
Wow. I feel like I just delivered a baby this past Friday because that seems like how long it's been longer than that. Your wife delivered a baby in a shorter amount of time than it took me to become a PCP in my own political party. Is that not crazy or what?
Pretty crazy. Um, yeah. You were one of the original 8, right? Back like
Yes.
last May that got nominated. Crazy. And it's been long before that too. That was just the first
Right.
time we finally made a formal nomination. Um, yeah. We've talked so essentially we've talked about it over and over, but in case anybody doesn't know, the way these political parties are hijacked is they suppress the knowledge that you can even participate, and they close off the meetings. You don't even know about them unless you're already a member, and not member of the political party, not a Republican, meaning you have to be like a special secret member, what's called a PCP, like a neighborhood representative. It's official position. It gives you voting rights within the party. And if you don't know about that, you can't go to the meetings. You can't even find out where they are. And that's how they start. And then even within that, maybe there's 50 of those. I think we started out last
Yeah.
year with 50 of those positions filled. And within that 50, they exclude maybe 20 of them, 30 of them by just
Mhm.
not even giving them meeting notices, not even telling them where the meeting is, which is
So when
totally in
Rod
violation
Schilling
of the bylaws.
says they don't participate, well, Rod, maybe it's because you didn't
Right.
contact them. I don't know.
And that's still happening. You posted the other day something on Facebook, and one of the PCPs said that she had no idea that there was a meeting, and that's unfortunate. And she's getting my emails, so it's not that she doesn't know how to get email, or she's not looking for this information. She is knowledgeable on email because she's opening mine. So Michael, that means the chairman's not sending the emails to everyone. Um, Anyways, so yeah, we kind of cracked that code finally, right? I mean, it took a long time. I ran for county commissioner as a conservative, wasn't Republican, didn't know you had to sign up to prove you're conservative by being Republican. But I eventually switched my party to Republican. I go to one of the meetings. I go to a second meeting. I get elected vice chair. All these things happened, and I still had no knowledge of this magical position that gives you voting rights. No knowledge. No one had ever explained it to me. It was not like there was no handout. Um, it wasn't until I like came to one of the meetings and they were snarkily like, "Chris, you can't vote. Haha, you can't vote." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean I can't vote?" They're like, "Well, you're not a PCP." And I'm like, "Well, can't you fix that? Like, can't you just make me a PCP? Like, what do you mean I can't vote? I'm vice chair." So anyway, so you know that. Most of your viewers know that, but that's where we started the beginning of last year at. And it took us a little bit to get people aware that got to fill out a form and go through a process. And we did. We went through the process.
Yeah.
And that's where we diverged though. Because up to that point, they were just kind of doing these procedural roadblocks. They were like quasi-legal roadblocks to manipulate the party. And
Mm-hmm.
then once they figured out that we were onto their ruse, they diverged. They actually started doing stuff that's just full blown illegal against our bylaws, against Oregon revised statutes. And because they knew that it was over, we had figured out their game and we were going to start signing up people to participate in the party. And they just started closing meetings. They started adjourning meetings when we would motion to add PCPs, add new people, and then to the point where they just stopped having meetings entirely. And it took a lawsuit and a bunch of other things and a bunch of people and a bunch of hard work. And finally, last Friday, we were able to add a bunch of people to the parties. There's 18 precincts in Coos County, and started last year, there was only 14 out of the 18 represented. Now there's 17 out of 18 represented.
Yep.
The only one we don't have is Powers. and there was 49, I think, PCPs at the start of last year. Now there's 120, I believe, and or
Wow.
119. So,
Wow.
and then interestingly, you'd think like if you have the consensus and support of your party and you're confident in that, then you would have no issue adding more people, because you'd be like, hey, more people from Coos County, yeah, they think like me. They
Right.
believe in the things I believe in, so they'll support me. No, they did not support the chairman and the other people that were supporting him. Those people remained the only people who supported the crap that they were supporting, the initiatives and the candidates that they were supporting, and pretty much all the new people that were added wanted to go in a completely different direction. Now they added people of their own, but
Yeah.
they're not participants. Like Michael added I believe it's his nephew.
Yeah.
He's not going to show up to meetings. He just
They're
added him
not
so he's
activists.
a placeholder.
Yeah, they're not activists like you
So
and me, and they're not going to be showing up to these meetings because they don't want to get beat up and they really don't know what the hell they're doing. And I guarantee you, they're not strategizing and having strategizing meeting before the actual meetings. And so we're doing all of that, and that's why we're really just, we're eating their lunch every day now. And I think that all of those people who showed up to that meeting, because it was a full meeting, it was a 5-hour meeting, folks. We got there at 5:30. I don't think we got out there
four.
till 10:30. Was it 4?
Yeah. 4 or
Damn,
5, who
that was
cares? It
it
was
was a
long though.
long ass time. I know that my butt was numb. I was back in the back pacing because my legs had gone to sleep at that point.
I bet it
And
didn't
I
hurt as
think
much as
people were
someone's.
woken up. What?
Oh man, never mind. Just erase that.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Laura's saying she loves the dad hair. Thank you very much. I got a haircut. I have to look like a dad now. That's
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to look like a dad now.
Yeah, that was a
So
long meeting, but I'm actually really impressed that everybody stayed. I really
I,
thought at some point it would get to the point where people were like, "Look, this insanity will never end. It'll always continue. There's no way to fix it when you have someone that stubborn and honestly retarded, just keep forcing things through despite a consensus for the opposite direction." Um,
right.
I thought people would get tired and just be like, I'm out of here, forget it. And they stayed. They stayed all the way to the end. And that's impressive. I appreciate that. And we finally, I think, made a big breakthrough. So we've got another meeting on April 22nd at 6 p.m. We set that at the Friday meeting.
Hmm.
And then Chairman Michael Brainard, as a joke, I suppose, set it at the gazebo at Tugman State Park because we passed a motion that you can't have it on like private property or on sovereign land because it seemed to be that was what they were trying to do so that they could control who was allowed in and out. They also had it on tribal land, and as soon as I showed up, they asked me if I was armed, and they wanted to make sure that I was disarmed before entering, which is, very, very peculiar. How do you say that word?
Hmm.
For the Republican Party to take, literally like enforce the opposite of the Second Amendment. They're
Right.
like, hey, you got to take your gun off. It's pretty insane. I don't know how people
They
feel about
actually,
that
I
one. That
didn't
one
know
really
that.
ticked me off.
They actually did that. They asked you to take your gun
Yep.
off or made sure you were disarmed.
I mean,
Oh, wow.
I'm a responsible citizen, so I do my research typically before I go to a place, and I understand whether or not that place, allows guns or not. Which, again,
Mhm.
in the United States, is insane that any place could require you to take off your firearm unless it's like someone's house, right? Private property,
Right.
you can absolutely have. But well, I suppose so. It is right. It's sovereign land. We're not even in the United States anymore, technically, if we were on tribal
Technically.
land. So there
Right.
is no Bill of Rights. So terrible meeting location. But yes, I knew ahead of time that it was going to be an issue. And I did not have my firearm on me. I had my empty holster on me for symbolism, but they didn't know that. And it just, as soon as I walked in, they wanted to know if I was armed, and if so, I'm not allowed to have it on me. Yeah, without prompt. So pretty
That's
nuts.
like Jeff Petit says, that's crazy. That's absolutely great. And I knew that beforehand. We were all warned beforehand. I left my gun at a completely different place because I was afraid to leave it in my car because I thought they would be such jackasses that they would demand to know where it is if I showed up with an empty holster. Well, where's your gun, Mr. Taylor? Well, I don't have to tell you, you
Pretty
know.
nuts. But anyway, so we tried to account for that in a
Mhm.
responsible manner and give the chair some direction as to where suitable meeting locations might be. So we told them some examples, like the public libraries, like the ones we have our friends of Coos County Republicans library meetings at the library. Yeah, drawn a
Mhm.
blank. Anyways, so and instead he does it at a gazebo in a state park that requires an entrance fee, by the way, in the most northern part of our county. Um, he's an asshole. I
Yeah.
mean, there's really no other way to put it. And he didn't, run that by anybody else. And he didn't even send out the meeting notice in time. I had to send the meeting notice out in time. And last night, and then he sends this morning. Doesn't even go over the agenda with anybody. We asked him to resign, like not just, Michael, can you resign? We actually passed a formal resolution
Mhm.
as a body, the central committee passed a formal resolution requesting his resignation. He has completely ignored it. We passed a dozen other directives that he has completely ignored. We endorsed Richard Coleman for Coos County Commissioner and supported him with $500. That check has yet to even be talked about being written. They have not reached out to him. I'm talking about the chairman and the treasurer have not reached out to him to initiate that support. We requested him, Michael, not requested, we directed him to unblock all the PCPs and registered Republicans that he has blocked on social media from our, official party webpage. And he was directed to he's not allowed to block anyone ever again unless he comes and requests it from the body ahead of time. He didn't do that. He was supposed to give me admin access back to those pages. He has not done that. He was supposed to transfer over website and email and set all that up. He has not done that. None of it. He hasn't done any of it. There's probably something else I'm missing.
Well, let me ask
Oh,
you
he was
this.
supposed to
This
give
was
us
weird.
access to the voter apps. Anyways, go ahead. Yep.
Oh yeah, the voter apps. That was another thing. Yeah, but let's get back to that in a second. But okay, the website. I didn't know he owned the party website. Was that absolutely bizarre? Didn't it kind of prove the point that he thought this was his own private club and not an organization open to the public?
I mean, the fact that he had it like purchased it personally and all that, like that's not that weird to me. So like I'm in the small business entrepreneurial space and that, so when you're starting your own business or helping other people out, it's not uncommon to purchase like for instance, Danessa runs a business. She has Kuzag and
Mhm.
Appliance and she has a hotel. Like I currently have her website domains and website under my personal GoDaddy account and under my personal credit card, right? We were transitioning it from someone else who was helping it, like another company that was helping it, and I have yet to finish setting it up for her, right? Imagine if I just stole that. If I just said, well, it's mine. It's not yours, it's mine. It's stealing, it's theft. It's not mine. We had a verbal contract
Right.
to do something with that, right? It's not mine, it's her. She's using it in her professional capacity for her corporation. So, and or like for the Friends of Coos County Republicans, I purchased a domain, cooscountyconservatives.com. I've set up some email, I've set up a website. That's not mine. That's the organization's.
Right.
And if I were to ever leave or something were to happen, um, it belongs to the organization. So yeah, we need to set that up. The best way to do it is to always set that stuff up under some corporate account, not on a personal credit card. But just because it isn't set up that way does not mean it's yours. I mean, like
Right.
legally in a court of law, you have used something for corporate purposes. It now belongs to the corporation. For instance, like if you work for a corporation, you start using your own personal computer for all your work stuff, that is actually now property of the corporation.
Right.
It's a thing. So, Chairman Brainard needs to do some research on that, because it's not going to end up well. And it's honestly, it's just theft. It's straight up theft. So yeah, he claimed that it's his website, and yep, there you go. Not found. He took the website down, and it was a piece of crap website anyway. So it's probably better that it's down, but it does look really unprofessional. Really unprofessional that he did that without telling anybody. He was also he was directed to do the opposite. He was directed to transfer it, and he has not. He was directed to set us up with social media access and unblock all the Republicans that he's blocked. He's blocked like public officials from our Republican page. He's blocked
Rod
me,
Taylor.
the vice chair.
Rod Taylor is blocked from the Coos County Republican Party Facebook page. That's nuts.
So is the vice chair, the secretary, and the delegate, like 3 people on the executive board. It's nuts. This is, I don't know where the guy thinks he can go from here. He sent an email out this morning about a harassment complaint. I don't know if he thinks it's him being harassed or what. Dude, holding you accountable is not harassment. Talking about the stuff that you're doing.
Did that
I
go
highly
out
doubt
to
it.
the Secretary of State?
No, I have no idea. He hasn't sent any details other than that there is a complaint. I don't know what that means. So he doesn't work with anybody. He's in a silo, and he thinks he runs our party. And it's been repeatedly explained to him that he doesn't run our party. He works for the party, not the other way around. And that's written in our bylaws. It's written in common sense. It's written in professionalism and decency that you don't do this sort of stuff. So whatever. So we're going to meet at Tugman State Park on April 22nd at 6 p.m. And he wants to, and I guess, endorse John Sweet. I'm reading the bottom there. Endorse John Sweet and address the complaint made against the party. Well, we don't know what the complaint is. John Sweet endorsement. I don't think the party really supports that, but we'll see.
And here's
there's
the
more
agenda.
stuff.
He's already scheduled the next meeting for June 8th. And the way I thought
again, go ahead.
He's not supposed to be able to do that, right? Because we just rechanged that.
Right. We passed a formal directive that stated that at the onset of every meeting, we will set the next meeting, that the body will set the next meeting. So he thinks he's funny. He's going to preempt it. He's having it at another park. Ferry Road Park does not have like an indoor space. So he thinks he's funny. And really, if there's anybody out here who's like remaining silent or supporting him, I'm talking about like the Pam Lewises of the world, the Jim Jordans, the Rod Schillings, the Kathy Chases. These are all people who are they're PCPs or they're executive board members within this organization. Are you supporting this? Are you okay with this? Does this make sense to you? Is it funny? Are you guys laughing? Are you at home laughing? Ha 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 ha. We're messing with 16,000 registered Republicans in Coos County. Ha ha. It's so funny. Well, it's not funny. So I just it needs to end. We need to move forward. We have a bunch of business to attend to. That's why the last meeting took 4 hours. Honestly, the next meeting, it's going to take some time. We have a lot of like productive, positive, constructive things we're going to bring up and talk about and organize around. For instance, we're going to try and do like an election day barbecue, and we need to organize that pretty quickly. And we've got some other ideas, but honestly, there are some things we need to finish with the chairman situation.
I think I'm going to have a barbecue at this meeting. I think, didn't Janessa say she was going to have hot dogs?
Yeah. People are coming together, so we're going to have food and drink. So, and at the last meeting, so about 2 hours in, it was getting crazy, and we knew that there was about half of it left. We had a bunch of stuff still to go through. So you and I, we were like, we should order pizza. Why not? Like, let's order pizza, have it delivered. We started ordering it, and actually, I think you guys did order it. And when I announced, so it was during an intermission, a recess, and we came back from the recess. I raised my hand and announced that we had ordered pizza. All of a sudden, people are like running around, like from his side, freaking out. They shut the gate. They told us we can't have any food, even though we've had food at that location before. And yeah, they didn't want anyone to eat anything. And I was told this morning that they had cases of water, and
Yeah.
some of the guests who later became appointed PCPs went to go get some of the water after being told to stand for like an hour because they weren't allowed to
Mhm.
sit down in the seats, even though there were empty seats. I mean, you're talking like old women were not allowed to sit down in empty seats because Michael said they're not PCPs, they're not voting members. And
Right.
then 2 hours later, they were voting members. Insane. Anyways, they went to go get water, and it was yanked out of their hand apparently, and they were told they were not allowed to drink it. I mean,
Yep.
like, so again, I asked the people surrounding Michael Brainard, why are you supporting this? This is insane,
Yep.
weird behavior by people who are not sane or rational. And what are you doing? So I really
Well, you know what
question
really
what is
threw
going
me
on.
was when we were talking about endorsing Rick Coleman, and him and Julie, they acted like they were going to throw up this quick thing where no, we need to support Rick Osborne. You guys, man, he's the guy who's with it. And they were acting like all of these people, all of these Republicans that they've crapped on for the last year and a half is going to say, oh yeah, you're right. Let's go with the Democrat strategist and not the
Yep.
Republican. I mean, they literally were thinking that was going to
Yep.
be a good selling point. It was nuts.
Totally nuts. They are living in bizarro land where they think they still have the support and respect of fellow Republicans, and they don't. They have apparently the respect and support of about 10 people in the whole county who will show up to quasi support them. Because, by the way, I don't know if you saw it, but they weren't even supporting him at the end.
They weren't
They were
voting for
not
him.
even the end. Almost the whole meeting. They
Yep.
just stopped voting. I don't know if they voted for stuff, but they definitely didn't vote against anything because I have the tally sheet, and
Yep.
almost all those motions passed with only 1, 2, or 3 no votes against them.
So
None of
that's
the
not like
motions was like 10
2/3.
against.
That's like 90 some odd percent of the people were voting against the chair.
Oh yeah, yep. Here, let me pull up some of the motions. I mean, that final motion to request the resignation of the chair, it passed all but 2. There were 2 no's. And he had about 10 of his apparent supporters in the room. So I don't know if I guess maybe they think that that's good enough. Like they think like, well, if we just don't vote, maybe we show that we're finally like trying to teach them a lot. I don't know. This is
Yeah.
insane. The people who can sit there and not stand up and be like, yo, Michael, what are you doing? This is crazy. You can't yank water out of people's hands. You can't sit here and keep us in a room for 4 hours during dinner time without allowing us to order pizza. And we were going to pay for it.
Yeah.
The PAC, Friends of Coos County Republicans, was going to pay for it. And remember when it was mentioned that we would pay for something, they called it money laundering.
Yeah.
Money laundering.
This comes from a guy who has worked for different PACs who have paid him while being the chair of this PAC. How is that not money laundering, Michael?
And the Rick Osborne thing you brought up is pretty nuts because even if you personally support that guy, you would have a reverence for the endorsement of a Republican Party, of a whole county. And you would understand that something like that is very important to have almost unanimous consensus on. It's actually one of the bylaw changes I'd like to make. I don't think an endorsement should just be a simple majority. I think it should be a 2/3 or even 3/4
Yes.
majority. It's something that should be revered. It's something that should be really thought out and should have a lot of consensus. You could really break up a party if you do something like that, and you could really
Yep.
misguide your voters too. our party is supposed to represent 16,000 people in our county, 16,000 registered Republicans. And does Michael really honestly believe that all of them support, or even the majority of them support Rick Osborne? I don't think so.
I don't know how he
That's
can. I don't
insane.
know how he can. That's nuts.
And the
Because
inverse, I believe that they would support Rick Coleman, especially if they met him and talked to
yeah,
him and learned about his values and his track record. I mean, just some of that's just, man, so many weird things that night.
oh
And
well, and the thing was like I said, the way they tried to sell it, they just jumped up. But then there was one point they actually jumped up and said you should be kicked out of the room. And I really
ejected, they
didn't
said.
hear what he said, but he wanted to have you kicked out of the room. And I'm looking around thinking, wait a minute, we're getting like, what is it? What was it? 36-2. I mean, how many was it? Well, was actually voting? I don't know. But we were trouncing him, and he thought that somehow he was going to convince us to kick you out of the room. That was hilarious.
Right. And that was before even adding the appointed PCPs, which made it like 50-2. And yeah, nuts. I mean, that was towards the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He wanted me ejected. I'm trying to remember why. He said something about me. I believe it was like because I released our bylaws or something, like something ridiculous, some document that should be totally available to anybody without his permission.
Yep.
Yeah, no, the party's moving in a different direction. We have the support of the people. It makes sense. We're not doing anything crazy. We are trying to grow the party. We are trying to support conservative candidates. We are trying to find more conservative candidates. We are trying to hold events, raise money. I mean, literally check every single box of all the things we're trying to do at this party. We're doing it, and we're not doing anything weird. We're not doing anything crazy or controversial. I have my own personal opinions about certain things and who to support and who not to support. And I
Right.
understand that as vice chair of the organization, I don't always get to express those opinions. And sometimes I have to hold that back. And so we're not unreasonable people. I don't know where that the rumor mill started with all that we're like,
Well, I was telling
alt-right,
people
crazy
that you were.
people.
I was telling people that you were endorsing Paul Romero. That was just me.
Yeah. What a good guy. But
Hey,
you know what I mean? Like, so for instance, let's say I walk into a room and the party wants to endorse that guy. That's
yeah,
not my responsibility to
that's
prevent
right.
it through some sort of illegal manipulation of the vote. Or, I mean, man, how many times during that meeting was he just abusing the microphone and calling for this and that vote and rephrasing things in bizarre ways on purpose, just so
hmm
everything got delayed? We would end debate. So, because right, you mentioned we had a 2/3 majority. We could end debate at any time. So,
Yep.
and I don't typically like doing that, but it really kind of was drawing on and getting repetitive. So we ended debate a couple times, and he didn't care. He would keep calling on people because he didn't want the question to be called. He didn't want the vote to take place because they were on things
Yep.
like appointing PCPs or passing a resolution for him to resign. So instead of following order, he just kept it. I mean, I had to yell like we are calling the question and ending debate like for the third time. We'd take it, like it was crazy. Anyways, we're moving forward. Like I said, we've got ideas and business to attend to. That's what we will address on the 22nd. And a small portion of that will unfortunately have to be addressing Michael's refusal to perform his duties. He has a duty to work for the Central Committee.
And
He's
someone's
not
got to
doing
make
that.
a motion to only have meetings within Coos County. Is that within Coos County? Is Tugman is it within Coos County?
I think so. I think it's in Lakeside. If it's not in Coos County, then I think we would have a pretty good reason to cancel that and
Okay.
have it somewhere else. But
I didn't know.
I don't know.
couldn't
Let me.
remember.
I'll pull up a map and look.
So one of the things that I wanted to go back to with them wanting to support Osborne, and they immediately pivoted to, well, you guys, You guys were suggesting we endorse Brandy Martindale when that never happened. It never happened. Once again, they were twisting the words.
Yeah, we were asking for $500 for Rick, which
Mhm.
passed almost unanimously. Why wouldn't we? He's a great conservative candidate. And the objection from the treasurer was that we ran out of money. And we were like, what? You just gave a report that says we have $6,000. And she's like, nope, you spent it all. And we were like, we spent it all. And they're like, she's like, actually, I spent it all. And we were like, you spent it all? What did you spend it all
Yeah.
on? And she's like, no, yeah, you guys spent it all. And we're like, what? And what did we spend it on? And she goes, you guys gave it all to Brandy Martindale. And we were like, what? So I had to like I'm like, guys, hold on. I'm like, Brandy Martindale has not been mentioned this entire meeting. No one has mentioned endorsing her or giving her money. I don't know what the heck you guys, what you're talking about. So
That
that
was
was pretty
nuts.
weird.
Well, then I got
Um,
up and I made the comment about, because they were saying that we can't get rid of Carl Shanks because he was sick. He's been ill. Okay, going back 5 years when I actually used to go to the party, he was never there. And this is one of the things that ticked me off. It was that Julie said he was the guy who spent all that time writing the bylaws, the same exact bylaws that have been used and manipulated to capture
Right.
that party. And I wonder, where did Carl get the idea to put some of those things into the bylaws, such as giving the extra amount of authority to the chair, allowing the former chair to sit on the executive board, and several other things that are in there that I just can't think of off of my head. Carl did that.
Yep, and he did it 7 years ago. They're like, he just helped us with the bylaws. Yeah, 7 years ago. So anyway, but he's, and it really wasn't even anything to do with the man. We had to mention his name so people knew what position we were talking about. But he just has never shown up to any meetings, and the bylaws say if you don't show up to 3 meetings, the position's vacated. Which makes sense. And
Right.
that's all it was. We need somebody to utilize those positions for what they're supposed to be utilized for. You're not just going to sit around. And he wasn't even at the election. That was a bizarre thing to witness. I wasn't part of the
Right.
party at the time. I was just a visitor watching this election take place. And they had somebody stand up and talk on his behalf, and he got
And
elected.
I think that happened the
Hilariously
last
enough,
time I was there. That happened.
it was, yeah. It was alternate delegate, and there's 3 alternate delegate positions, and there was 4 people who ran for it, and the person who got kicked out in favor of this man who wasn't even there was Michael's mom. Michael's mom ran for that position, and she couldn't even beat somebody who wasn't in the room. So
Right.
that was funny. But yeah, so we have 2 currently vacancy wise. We have 2 alternate delegates and a secretary, which we have an interim right now, but we want to elect a permanent secretary. So if you're interested and you want to get involved, come to our next party meeting, which is April 22nd. And
You
we
don't have
passed
to
a
be a
motion.
PCP, but we'll make you a PCP.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get involved. But yeah, it's open to the public. I mean, it already was, like the Oregon revised statutes ensure that these things are open to the public. But when you have chairs like Michael Brainard, they somehow find a way to close them off to people and disengage party volunteers. But it is open to the public. We made a formal motion and passed it. So it is absolutely 100% open to the public to attend. We encourage it. We want people to get involved. Why wouldn't we want people to get involved?
I think that was the first time in a long time that I was legitimately allowed to share the meeting notice. And it was something I did on the radio for the 5 years that I had my show. I always told people about the Republican meeting. And then near the end of Rod Schilling's term, I stopped getting the notices. And then under Brainard, no notices whatsoever. So I couldn't even report to the public when the Republican meetings were happening. They didn't send them to me anymore. And I guess they stopped sending to a lot of people. Once again, proving what we've said all along, which I think a lot of people sitting at that meeting on Friday, I think if they had any doubt in what you and I and Danessa have been saying all along about Brainerd and the other people, it was proven at that meeting without a doubt.
100%. No, there were people who talked to me afterwards who said they walked in and they were like, I think we should give this guy a second chance, see if he could, maybe turn things around. And they said, like, by hour 2, they were done. It was so ridiculous. I don't know what his intent is. I mean, I can make some speculations, but no, it needs to stop. Anyone supporting him, you guys need to do the right thing, grow a backbone, and do the right thing. So
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
actually care about our Republican Party, you'll do the right thing. If you're just in
Especially
it
at the
for a
meeting
weird.
coming up.
Yep.
I have to give credit to Court Boyce. We were all standing outside. Let me play this video because I want to talk about the new complaint against us for intimidation and stuff. I want to show you what a group of people looks like who are not being allowed to get into the party. We were wild. We were throwing chairs through the window. We were kicking the doors. We were all going Antifa on their ass. Check out how wild we were. Hey guys, I'm standing out here outside the Republican meeting and they're not allowing me in because for some reason, I guess they don't want Republicans. I'm willing to be a PCP, I'm willing to volunteer, and yet they're not allowing me in. So I'm out here with a whole bunch of other people who would like to be part of the party. And so they're going to have to make a motion to let us in. I won't be able to film that, so I'll let you know tonight on the Friday Night Rant at 8 o'clock tonight. We'll have more information for you because this is some good stuff. There's a lot of good people out here. Yep, we're going to be having a good time. So we'll be getting into that meeting eventually, and I'll see you all at 8 o'clock on the Friday Night Rant on this very same Bat channel. Carry on, Coos County. Carry on. And so channel. I can't believe that they were trying to say, or they are saying there's a complaint that there was intimidation, when if you look at that video, that was the most calmest group of people who were being denied entry. And so Court Boyce walks up and he sees us all standing around and we're all talking. He goes, well, why are you guys out here? And someone goes, well, they're not allowing us in. And he goes, what do you mean they're not allowing you in? Well, it's a closed meeting. They said that they're not allowing us in and that they're only going to let PCPs in. And he goes, well, I'm just a speaker, but let me go talk to him. And 5 minutes later, he comes out and he says, okay, I can get you in, but you have to stand against the wall in the back room. I felt like the back of the bus thing. You know what I mean? It was like, I just got to go back to the back of the bus now. We ain't good enough to sit in people seats.
It was pretty crazy. It's just stupid. I mean, all this is honestly stupid. That's embarrassing. That was really embarrassing that we had to have a public official come in and do that. And we had, I had talked to Michael and Julie and his mom ahead of time. Other people had talked to him ahead of time at the meeting, told him the same thing. Like it's only going to last for a couple minutes, right? We were going to walk in and make a motion to open the meeting to everybody and it would have passed. So it's insane.
Yeah.
These are childish games. He thinks all this is funny. And I guess everybody else with them thinks it's funny too. I mean, should we it's just nuts. You got that. There was a table up there in the front of like 10 people, and they I guess they support the guy and think this is all a joke. But someday it'll come back to bite you.
It'll definitely come back.
The day's coming pretty close.
Yep. And I think we're seeing that we've got a county that's turning purple very fast. And it's very sad.
We can do something about it. We are now a new party with new leadership. We've got a new direction, got a new set of people, new set of volunteers. So we're moving forward. We that is all really annoying. That will not happen again. I guarantee you that will never happen again. We will not have a situation where you're not allowed to sit in certain places or not allowed to have water or not allowed to have food. we will accommodate you. That's, I mean, our hospitality factor is about to go through the roof, right? Like we are going to be welcoming and appreciative to people who show up and want to support our cause. And that's what we're going to do. It was just a weird kind of fluke that I was not able to do anything about it at the moment. And I apologize to people. That will not happen again.
So if
come to our
anyone
meeting.
doesn't have any money on the day of when's the next meeting?
April 22nd, next Wednesday.
Okay, so April 22nd. If no one has, if you don't have the money to get into the park, I think the Fockers could probably cover that, don't you think? For all the
Well,
PCP.
what I'm going to do is make a motion that the party reimburse all of the guests for their parking fee, and then hopefully if people agree with that, it'll pass. And if that does pass, that'll cost the party a chunk of change. And we will also pass a motion requesting that Chairman Brainard pay for it. He set the meeting location, and he thinks it's funny. So I wonder how funny he'll think it is when he has to pay for it all. And 100 people at $5, is it probably $5 parking fee?
$10,
maybe more.
I thought it was $10.
Well, let's just say it's 5 and 100 people come. That's $500.
Yeah.
So, I think, is that the math? Yeah, $500. So,
absolutely.
So the party's going to pay for it, and I hope that the chair will do the right thing and reimburse the party for it. So, Michael, I guess you could still change the meeting to another location if you want to avoid that. I know you watch the show, so I would encourage you to do that, because that's a really dumb move. It's a really bratty thing to do to a bunch of people, is to make them stand outside, maybe in the rain. I mean, we're not all going to fit into that gazebo.
No.
Man. So you're going to make a bunch of elderly Republicans stand in the rain. That's a pretty asshole move. So,
and he's doing this on purpose, folks. And once again, we're the ones who are going to be, and what it is, Chris, is that we're outspoken. We're on social media. We're out here. We're speaking. We're defending ourselves. We're defending others. And because we're bold and we're doing that, he's thinking he can paint us as the bullies, as the ones who are coming in and pushing people around. In fact, I remember at one of the meetings, the one where we nearly got kicked out of the Cozy Kitchen. That's what Julie kept calling me, was a bully. I'm the bully. And it was weird because I don't have any authority in the party. I'm not even a PCP. How can I be bullying anyone? And so it just ticks me off that these people are pushing around this intimidation charge when they're the ones who are the obstructionists causing, it's like the BLM or Antifa. They cause you to react. And then when you react, they point to you and go, oh, see there, he is crazy, just like I said so.
No, the bullies make a bunch of people stand in the rain in a state park after they just unnecessarily paid a parking fee to attend a meeting that should be free and open to the public. That's what bullies do. It's also what assholes do. And we don't like bullies or assholes, so we're going to get rid of them. Anyways, no, I don't want to discourage people. Like, I guess it needs to be talked about. People need to know what's going on, right? So we do need to talk about it, but I also want to encourage people to focus on positive things. If you have any ideas for what you want to talk about at this meeting or discuss, or any ideas for the future Republican Party, saying events we should attend, events we should create out of thin air and organize, anything at all, reach out to me, reach out to Rob. We will do our best to see it through. And we're all about identifying people, what they're good at, and helping them work together to achieve it. And when you're somebody, anyway, I don't want to get back into the other side. That's what we're about, and we're going to focus on that. And that's what we're going to do. We are set up for success. We are set up to do that. We have a huge team of volunteers now, ready and willing to see that through. And we will be meeting on the 22nd at a gazebo, and we'll have hot dogs and we'll have a good time.
Definitely. I'm bringing some hot dogs. I'm going to coordinate with Danessa. We'll do something. We'll have a barbecue there. We're going to make a hell of a time out of this. We're not going to put up with this crap. We're going to flip it on them. We're going to have the best time We'll have a barbecue. We'll have people out there, and then we'll vote against everything he wants to do. So this is going to be interesting because now we've got 119 people who could potentially show up and vote at this meeting.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
incredible.
Yeah. And we didn't exclude anyone. When we approved all the PCPs, we approved all the people that they slipped in applications at the last minute. And these are people who are not actually going to volunteer, not actually going to get involved with the party, because we've already seen it happen. You know, all the people that so we had like, I think 13 people approved like a couple months ago that we were able to get in. And all our people, like I think 10 out of those were ours. Are ours. I just mean that people who like want to support the same goals we do and move the party forward. Those people showed up at this past meeting, all of them. And out of their 3, only one showed up because he was the husband of one of the other people. And that's it. The other 2 people is Michael's nephew, and I think it's like a lady from his church didn't show up. They're signing up people that aren't actually people who want to get involved, and that's not the intent in that. You're supposed to sign up to get involved because you want to represent your neighborhood, and you're going to talk to your neighbors about conservative things. You're going to talk to them, bring that to the party, represent them, and then you're going to go back to your neighborhood and you're going to represent the party to your neighborhood and explain what we're doing and how they can help, and you're going to get the message out. That's what's supposed to happen. Instead, they're like little placeholders so that we can't do things. That's what they do.
Right.
It's a game. It's all funny.
So Jeff says it's supposed to rain on the 20s. And Jeff, don't be such a downy. Don't be downing on it, man. We don't care if there's rain. We will take those barbecues and we'll put them under the gazebo and we'll just move a few of their people out. That's all that means that's going to happen. We'll just eat under. I know I've got a pop-up. I got a couple of pop-ups. Maybe we can get Brainerd to bring the Republican pop-up as well.
I'm nervous he didn't even actually rent anything, and he just like said we'll meet at the gazebo, and it's going to be one of those things where we show up and like there's other people at the gazebo and it's just total chaos, and I think that's what he wants. But yeah, I pulled up the map, so you see that like dotted line kind of through the top of Tugman Park. So yeah, half the park is in another county. And it's literally the most northern part of our county. You can't go any further north, and that's where he decided to have a meeting. So you know, it boggles my mind, but we will be free of it soon.
You know, the funny thing is that he does this, and our people are the type of people now they're going to go out of their way to show up for this meeting, even though they have to pay. And I love the idea of making the party pay and then foisting that on the chair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like the idea of making the party pay, especially if that's what the end result is, that it's just stuck that the party paid for it. But you know, I think it's really the only way to deliver some accountability to dumb decisions like this. You make a dumb decision, you should be held accountable for it. So that's the motion I'll make, is that the party pays for it. So
what is this? What happens if, say, he doesn't give back the domain name, he doesn't give back the property that he has, you know, the sound equipment, the tent? What happens with the court case? Is he going to have to pay for it? What's your outlook on that?
I would imagine it would all go to court. Some of it's really easy. Like the sound system was purchased with the the organization. I remember being a part of that. He claimed that it was something that was voted on by a prior executive board or something. He was allowed to buy it. He came to our first executive team meeting with the sound system receipts, and we were kind of just talked into like approving it. I remember I did vote for it because it was just one of those things that was like, I don't know if you were given approval for it or not, but we could probably use a sound system. So it was a pretty expensive sound system. I would have gone for a cheaper one, but whatever. We have a sound system now, but we reimbursed him, or he purchased it with the organization credit card. I don't know, but we do have the receipts. It is ours. you take that, Michael, that's straight up theft, and you'll be
Yep.
held accountable for it. The other stuff is still theft. It's probably a little trickier, but you just lost in court like last month, and that was probably one of the harder cases to pursue.
Yeah.
This would not be hard. It might even be just easy to attach it to the same one we already have. I don't think the judge would find it very funny that you're doing any of this, and we still have to go back to court. I don't know if he thinks it's over, but there's more to it. Yeah, no. Again, I don't want to talk about it anymore. That is crazy stuff, crazy town. I cannot believe you guys have had to deal with that for years and years and years. I can't believe I've had to deal with it the past year or two. But we've found a way past it. We're going to move past it, and we're going to focus on better things. That's my message.
All right, good deal. That's a good message, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I can't wait till the meeting on the 22nd. I think it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. I've got a really positive outlook on this, and just after going to that meeting on Friday, how many motions? We had like 14 motions, and I think every single one of them passed.
Yep. Yeah, they did. And what was really cool is I was exhausted after that meeting. I thought everybody else would be insanely exhausted. And but we still had I do my Saturday morning coffee at the Friends of Coos County Republicans headquarters every Saturday. So at 8 a.m. we were there, and
Cool.
there were people waiting when we got there. And that whole place was filled. That whole headquarters was filled. Every chair was filled. It was pretty cool. That I think was one of the most well-attended ones we've had. People who were at the meeting came that morning for coffee. The very next morning, the vibe in the room was awesome. It's like it makes sense. It's what happens when you acknowledge people and you
Yeah.
welcome them into something. They feel empowered. They feel motivated. They feel excited. So that's what we have. And this meeting on next Wednesday is going to be awesome. I just saw that Sandy says hi. Sandy, if you are listening, come to Tugman State Park next Wednesday, April 22nd at 6 p.m. You're a PCP. You're going to enjoy this meeting. It will finally be the party that you have been wanting to be a part of. And next Wednesday, April 22nd, 6 p.m. Tugman State Park at some random gazebo, because that's where Michael picked it. But
And we'll
anyways.
reimburse you. If they charge you, don't worry. We'll reimburse you. We'll find a way of getting reimbursement. Whether we do it through our PAC or through the party, I don't give a damn. I'm not going to let people pay for this. This is silly. Screw that,
It is.
Michael. Damn, it just pisses me off. This is just one of those things. See, he does stuff like this where you go, I just want to punch that guy in the face. And then he goes, see, they're intimidating me. It's like,
Yeah. Well, no violence. No violence.
violence.
We have ways around this. And again, we're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. I have an agenda that I'll be sending out in a couple days that is filled with good stuff that we're going to talk about, things that we're going to get moving for this summer. And I'm very excited. The energy is awesome. So I got to sign off, though. I got to go to a dinner.
Okay.
And I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody listening. Hi, Sam. Good luck with your campaign.
And
Sam
Sandy
Frost.
says, okay, she's going to be there.
All right. Bring your friends, bring your husband, bring anybody.
Yeah, we're going to try to have hot dogs, Sandy. So, hopefully we'll be able to feed a few people. All right, man. I thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
See you later. Bye, Rob.
All right.
Bye, Steve.
And I'll talk to you later. Grilling is my love language. I will bring chicken. Yes, definitely. And hey, thank you, Chris. Chris is one badass dude. I have to tell you, we're very lucky to have that young man here in Coos County fighting for us, fighting for the right. It's going to be a great time at these meetings. I hope all of you show up, because that meeting on Friday was one of the best meetings I attended. And yet it wasn't even filmed. We didn't even film it. And I'll tell you what, all the people there who've never done those meetings, who've never been to those meetings, they were just thrilled. They were like, it was long. It was really long, but man, it was exciting. At one point, Dennis Beetham got up and was yelling at Michael. He was calling him all kinds of names. It was hilarious. It was great. I loved it. Enjoyed the meeting. So I recommend going to the meeting on the 22nd. I got to add this here, the Central Committee meeting, April 22nd from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Tugman State Park. That's right, at Tugman State Park, April 22nd, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that's going to be a good time. That's going to be one of those really good times. Hey, folks, I had to go pick up some signs for some of our campaigns over at Coos Bay and North Bend. They have them at the street departments of both cities. So if you lost a bunch of signs and you think maybe the city picked them up, well, they're going to be at the street department. Here you can see some of John Sweet's signs, some of David Brock Smith. He has one sign here, of course, Brandy Martindale. And I retrieved Brandy's signs. I got her signs. That right there is at that's North Bend, and here was the Coos Bay. Yeah, I believe this was the Coos Bay one. John Sweet had a whole bunch of signs. It was like the whole back of that is like John Sweet signs. And of course, Val Hoyle, Osborne. But we were, that's what John Sweet thinks of you. Yeah, he thinks it. That's what he says when he puts up those signs in the right of way. That's what he's thinking right there. But yeah, we got to make sure that when you're putting out signs, make sure you're putting them into the right places. Don't put them in the right of way. If you put them on the side of the street, here's a little trick. If they haven't mowed the side of the street, don't put your sign there, because that's a good way that sign's going to be lost. Because if they come by with a mower, they're going to pull that sign because it's on an H stake. Those H stakes are made of wire, and that really screws up their lawnmowers. So they really hate those political signs. So if you put up a political sign, make sure it's after they mow, and make sure it's behind the utility pole. If it's behind the utility pole and they've already mowed there, you're pretty safe. But you're not supposed to have it really in the right of ways. You got to be very careful where you place them. Each city has different rules. So you have to go to the city websites to find out the rules. Some are more lenient than others, and some they'll just pull your signs and they'll end up at the dumpster. So don't worry, Brandy. I got your signs. I had one Coleman sign, and I've actually picked up a couple of Christine Drazen signs. I thought, what the heck? We didn't have any of her signs at the headquarters, so I grabbed a couple. So if you're missing some Drazen signs, they're probably over at the headquarters. And right now, if you get there before 6 o'clock, you can sign the petitions and pick up some political signs, because we got our people out over there. Today, we didn't play Where's 3H Tree Service. We normally do, but Where's 3H Tree Service, we didn't get a chance to play that today. He was very busy. Matt's been working really hard. But if you want to take out those trees because you got some problems with those trees, they're a liability. They got branches hanging over your eaves. Maybe it's hanging over your neighbor's house. I know my neighbor is getting his trees taken out. Yeah, well, that happens. They become a danger to you and others if they're overgrown. But you can call 3H Tree Service at 541-294-1800, and they can come take out those trees with surgical precision. And also my other sponsor, Tom and Gigs. Check out Tim and Shanna over at Tom and Gigs for all your automotive needs. You can reach them at 541-888-4660. You need shocks, you need struts, you need to get your car aligned. They can take care of all of that stuff. You want to find out if your car is travel worthy, call Tom and Gigs, 541-888-4660. They're at 135 South Shoneman Street, behind the car wash in the Empire neighborhood. And if you know where the Empire neighborhood is, you know where the car wash is. That's in Coos Bay, 135 South Shoneman Street. And there they are. You can see them at this store. You look for the trucks, because there's usually a bunch of trucks around them, a bunch of big pickup trucks that are waiting to be worked on. Tom and Gigs, lift kits, and performance accessories. And they got a lot of great toys for the kids, a lot of these RC cards. And I'm not just talking about the little kids, the big kids too, those adult kids. Yeah, they got some really cool. I mean, Tom and Gigs, for all your RC needs, they're the largest RC dealership on the South Coast. Really good stuff out there. You can get helicopters, airplanes, and of course RC cars. A lot of good stuff. And you can purchase some Tannerite, but you have to be 18 years or older, and they will ask you for an ID. And last but not least, Herbal Choices for all your herbal needs. They are going to be having a sale coming up because 420 is happening. That's right, 420. So if you like the gummies, you like the leafy stuff, well, starting on the 18th, they're going to be having a sale. I believe it's the 18th through the 22nd. They're going to be having a sale for 420. 420 is the Potheads Day of Liberation. Yep. So 420, they always celebrate. Herbal Choices is no different. Herbal Choices, the marijuana dispensary of my choice for all your cannabis needs. You can reach them at the herbalchoices.com website. Once again, that's the herbalchoices.com website. And remember, you must be 21 years or older to purchase marijuana. Please do not keep it out of the hands of anyone under 21. Do not operate machinery or heavy equipment, and do not drive while under the influence of marijuana. And of course, they have 5 locations: Charleston, Coos Bay, Bandon, Reedsport, and North Bend. Really great stores, well lit, and good bud tenders who can tell you about all the stuff that they got going on there at Herbal Choices. And someone else who's making a lot of news, Oregon Firearms Federation, the only no compromise gun group in Oregon. Right now, they're making a lot of moves in the courtroom. They still are fighting for our Second Amendment rights. If you want to help them out or you want to find out more information, go to OregonFirearms.org and you can learn more from them. And if you live inside the county and you want to hone your gun skills, well, you can go to Bandon Gun Club and find out more at bandongunclub.org, or you can go to the Tioga Sports Park. Just check out tiogasportspark.org to find out more information. I always recommend the Coos County Neighborhood Watch Group, very good group on Facebook. If you want to find out what's happening in your neighborhood as far as crime, this is the place to go. And we just had Chris Castleman on the show, and he's still part of the Coos County Citizen Council. Every Wednesday, they have a live podcast and guest, and talks about the latest issues locally here in Coos County because, well, that's where we live, folks. We live here in Coos County. Now, listen, I'm going to be getting that petition to repeal the tax that they just passed in the legislature not too long ago. We're going to be getting that petition here soon, and we'll have it at the headquarters. I can't tell you exactly when, but hopefully in the next couple of days. And so we still need those signatures, folks. We need those signatures, and we need you folks to get out there and help us out because, well, we can't sign but once. You know what I mean? And so that's why we need you folks. If you haven't signed these petitions, you need to get out to the Republican headquarters and sign them. I don't know if it's Elmer or Carol who's out at the headquarters, but they're at the headquarters right now until 6 o'clock. I will be there tomorrow and Wednesday from 2 to 6, and we will be expanding those hours. Sandy Arquette Slay says 420, woohoo! It sounds like she's going to be celebrating. Yes. Maybe we should start having our Republican meetings on 420. That would change the meetings around now, wouldn't it? Well, folks, it was great that you guys were able to stop by, take a few minutes. The first interview for the first hour, I want to give thanks to Dr. Barbara Kahl. She's running in the first U.S. Congressional District against Bonamici. Isn't that, what was it? Bonamici? Yeah. I don't know. I'll tell you what, she's a Democrat. So it really doesn't matter how you pronounce her name. It's Comanici because she's a commie. You know? So yes, I don't know. Maybe I pronounced that wrong. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on. We'll be having the Friday night rant. I wasn't able to have the Friday night rant this past Friday. Why? Because it was a 4-hour meeting. Those Republicans, they love to meet. They really love to meet. But hopefully, Friday, and I'll see you all there. But until then, folks, you know what I always say. Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.